Oh, hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. Welcome to Copy That, Whetstone Wednesday, the only stream on the entire internet where one of the members of Copy That reviews your copy and marketing materials and assesses them, and more like judges them from a very lofty position, and really shouldn't be judging as harshly as we are. That's neither here nor there. Whetstones are a sharpening tool, and Wednesdays are a day of the week. And Whetstone Wednesday is a day in which every other week or so, one of us at Copy That logs on and streams basically us reading and going through your copy and giving some advice and giving some insights to help you basically take your copy to the whetstone and improve it and basically make it sharper, more persuasive, more powerful, generally better, so that you can ideally, the whole point of these is so that you can make more money. Now we're 20 years from now, however long it takes for you to get your first client. My name is Sean MacIntyre. I've been writing for money for, I did the math. It's been close to 25 years at this point. I'm very old. Former professor of rhetoric and literature and creative writing. I'm currently an entrepreneur, an analyst, financial copy and content writer for businesses in 5 countries around the world, soon to be 6. And if you want to know how Whetstone Wednesday works, basically twice a month, we invite people, members of our $20 tier of our Patreon, patreon.com/thecopythatshow. Sorry, I get the name a little mixed up. Links down in the description below, of course. And we invite those folks to submit copy on our Discord, link also in the description below. And then those members of Patreon basically, after we call for submissions, get to submit their copy, paste a link to their copy, and then we go on stream and tell you everything that's wrong with your copy that's been submitted, or things that are going right. Every now and again, we get some very, very good copy. So yeah, that's the opening spiel. That's the opening spiel of Whetstone Wednesday. I'm seeing some people in the chat. Hello. How do I get access to copy review? Do I have to join the Patreon? No. If you are on the Discord and your Patreon, or you have the appropriate roles in the Discord, just provide proof of purchase of the Platinum Collection, which will eventually replace the Patreon. And we'll give you the role, and you will have access to the channels where you can submit your copy for review. God, yeah, I know. It's like it's dawning on me how old I'm getting. Yeah. Anywho, let's see. Yeah, well, I'm down in Boca Raton right now, so it's not snowy, but it is cold. So shout out to all my people in the South and the Midwest who are getting a snowstorm right now. What is the title of the book you mentioned before about how to write and describe things vividly? Something about the sense. I probably mentioned Diane Ackerman's book, The Senses, or Just Senses. It's a very, very vivid, like, creative analysis and, like, how should I say, provocative think piece about how the different senses of the human body and how those senses are manipulated, perceived, written about, articulated about, and there's a lot of interesting information about the senses, and I found it personally very useful for writing copy that dimensionalizes things using sensory details. So that has been a recommendation that I've been making for a very long time. But again, it's not for the fan. It's not your typical copywriting book. It's not a how-to. You're not going to find a list of bullets of, like, when you're writing about smell, do these 10 things. No, it's more of a, how should I say, a meditation on the senses designed to get you thinking about them. So yes, Diane Ackerman, Natural History of the Senses. There you go. Ooh, what are my best tips for writing inbound blog posts? My best tips is to go watch our SEO and content marketing and writing masterclass. It's in the live tab. It's from a while ago. We had, like, Alex and I and Lindsey too, like, we have a lot of experience writing for that. And also, because of our experience, we have a very negative attitude towards those things. And so we did a whole masterclass on, like, how people normally do it, why people normally do it wrong, and how to do it better. So there's a multi-hour masterclass for free that you can watch on that. Wonderful. But in terms of, like, actual more tactical stuff, check out the friend of the show, Jacob McMillan. He has his own YouTube channel. He does his own thing. He specializes in, like, SEO and content marketing. I don't think he's really active in the info publishing side anymore. I think he got like a tasty enough content marketing gig that like he's just overloaded with work. But he's a good dude, honest dude, and so I trust him to steer you in the right direction. So. Are you still selling a marketing course that you were promoting a few months ago? Are you referring to the eMarketer Master Plan, or EMP for short? If so, the answer is yes. If you go into any of our main channel videos, you will find a link to the sales page there. I have zero thoughts on having protein oats while being on a cut. I've heard listen, as long as it fits your macros, as long as it's creating a calorie deficit, I think you're doing okay. And also, hello to everyone from Germany. So we have a fun one today. The first piece of copy that I received to actually, I'm going to do the window rather than the, here, let's do this. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. So I got this and I was thrilled because this is, like, I've written copy for a lot of businesses and I've written a lot of different kinds of copy and a lot of different kinds of content. But like where I've made the most money and had the most success is in writing long form direct response sales letters. And so when I saw that this person had submitted a sample piece, a portfolio piece that was a book promo, which I have a lot of experience with, and it was a long form direct response sales letter, I was like, oh shit, yeah, this is right in my Q zone. And so I want to draw your attention, everybody, first to the headline and then the lead. And we're going to talk about it very briefly. And then I'm going to show you examples from my swipe file of how book promos do better. All right. So stick with me. From a world-class habit formation expert, cred in the eyebrow copy, a proven framework for getting 1% better every day. Now, I'm just going to read on, and then we're going to talk about it. I'm going to point out some stuff. Atomic Habits book reveals how to supercharge your personal success by creating habits that last. Hold on. I'm going to close Discord so I don't get a million notifications. That's basically my entire day. Whenever I have Discord on, it's just like ping, 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 ping. So whenever I'm actively working, I usually X out of it. So, okay. First off, right off the bat, you're going to lose a lot of people. Why are you going to lose a lot of people with this headline? And remember, if you're a copywriter and you're writing some sort of landing page, 80% of your thought, 80% of your time needs to go on making your headline perfect. Why is that? Because that is what every single person you pay to see your page, that's what they see first. And so it makes financial sense for you to spend the most amount of your time on that thing to get people reading down below. So first and foremost, it's fine, but it's also relying on people having that sort of baked in desire to get 1% better every day. Now, here's the thing with the book. That's, and James Clear, I think it was James Clear who wrote the book, if I recall correctly. Yeah, James Clear. He talks about that a lot, but there's build up to that. And also the whole shtick around getting 1% better every day is the fact that if you do get 1% better, that compounds. And so 1% better every day is not 365% better, but it's like multiple thousands of percent better over the course of a single year. That's just how the math works. Now, if somebody lands on this page and doesn't understand that, and they see 1% better, is that going to immediately grab them by the short and curlies and demand that they pay attention? No. So it's requiring a more familiar audience off the bat. Okay, so that's one really thing. And so, second thing, and this is a general comment that I have about promise-based headlines. Book reveals how to supercharge your personal success by creating habits that last. Now, the great thing about this is it's promising something that people kind of want. Okay, everybody wants to supercharge their personal success. The problem with it is that it's vague. It is not intriguing, it's just vague. And by vague, I mean there's a lack of specifics around that make me understand what supercharging my personal success means for me at the stage of my life. And then, of course, you have the mechanism by creating habits that last. Now, I don't want to tip my hand too much, but I have a, how should I say, a petty streak. And I recently went onto the Discord of another, I'll be real, I sort of perused the Discords of all the other copywriting gurus just to see what they're doing, just to see what's going on, stuff like that. And sort of, judge. Like I said at the beginning, I do have a little bit of a judgmental streak. And I was looking at this person's copy reviews, and I noticed something. Every single final version of the headlines they reviewed was how to this, how to this, how to this, how to this. And it made me realize something about a number of the people that don't have a lot of experience, like working for bigger businesses or working for businesses that have like substantial scale, where how to and promise-based headlines like not only don't work as well, but also like for compliance reasons, you can barely ever use them. It made me realize something about this person that made me a little sad. This person doesn't know how to write copy that doesn't directly promise something. Huh. And then it made me think, of those of you watching right now, how many of you know how to write a headline that doesn't directly promise something, but still feels really valuable and indirectly promises something that still makes a person compelled to read on? Now, I wanted to give you guys a couple of alternative examples of other book promotions, long form direct response book promotions that do this, I think, very well. And in fact, I know that they did this very well because they sold not tens of thousands, but almost 100,000 copies each. Here we go. From best-selling author Zach Scheidt, a little cred, again, same thing. Get your free copy today. Inside, you'll find 47 life-changing income tricks, including how to do all of this. Now, you may think that this is doing the same thing as this, but here's the difference. Getting 47 life-changing income tricks is the main thing that you're promising. That's where you're starting. And then the benefits follow that. Do you understand? So there's a reason to pay attention to this book, The Big Book of Income, because of these 47 life-changing tricks. That's what I mean by specificity. The how-to is not your hook. The how-to are the benefits that support this. Do you understand that subtle difference? Okay. Now, how to squeeze as much as an extra $6,800 per year out of your Social Security benefits. How to upgrade your savings account and earn 12 times more interest. Again, look at how 47 life-changing secrets, this amount of money, 12 times more interest. These are all very specific numbers that I can like really wrap my head around and understand how this benefits me. How to supercharge your personal success. What does that mean? Does it mean more income? Does it mean I'm going to have more friends? What if I measure personal success in how many like Pokemon cards I have? Is it going to help me? Do you see where I'm going with this? That's the value of ultra specificity. That one of the 4 U's you use to assess your headlines, your bullet copy, and your subheads. The 4 U's, for those of you tuning in: unique, ultra specific, useful, and urgent. Now let's look at this. Get your free copy today. 47 life-changing income tricks. Does it feel unique? Does it feel useful? Oh yeah. Is it ultra specific? I mean, everything in this deck copy feels ultra specific. Is it urgent? Act fast. Supply is limited to the first 450 readers that respond today. So this has a 3 out of 4 U's on the U scale, and you can definitely argue that life-changing income tricks, maybe a little unique. Whereas over here, I feel like I can just bucket this in the, oh, I've seen stuff like this before. And the lack of specificity makes it easy to dismiss. The thing that you also want to understand as a copywriter, if you want to sell stuff, is that you can use specific details to make something feel unique. And I have another example for you to show you that helps with that. A used advertising book for $900. It is the most stolen library book in the world, a book that marketing expert Joe Vitale says no one in business should be without. How good is that? How good? This is an example of what's called a borrowed book promotion. A borrowed book promotion is where a business buys 1,000 copies, let's say, of somebody else's book, and then uses that book as the main hook, a little rhyming action going on there, to draw attention and to hook readers in. And so effectively the sales letter is selling the book, but then on the bonus stack of that, you also are throwing in a course, some sort of continuity, some sort of other product to justify having some sort of ongoing charge. Any sort of membership is really, really good for that. And book offers are a really, really good way to lure people into considering a membership with something, because books in of themselves are valuable. It's very easy to sell a book. Now, this headline, oh my God, look at that. Do you see a how-to in this headline? Here, we're using the how-to to support the 47 life-changing income secrets that you get in this free book. Again, good hook for a book. Here, I would say it's even more indirect, and depending on the list, is better as well. Now, all y'all who are watching this right now, what's the promise here in this headline? Forget the lead. What's the promise? Again, if you want to show your sophistication as a copywriter and you want to expand your reach and expand your copy's ability to scale compliantly, you got to learn how to write stuff like this. You got to learn how to write copy like this. If you are holding on to the crutch of how-to copy, hey, look at this thing, how-to, you are ultimately going to put a ceiling on your career, because this is one of the first things that you learn. Just like, yeah, you can do a how-to sales letter and you can get like a few thousand sales for something using this kind of copy. I'm not saying it's impossible, but promise copy is the, how should I say? It's the easiest, cheapest appeal to make. Whereas a gimmick like this, a little bit better, a little bit more sophisticated, couched a little bit differently, framed a little bit differently, ultimately better. And then this is even more indirect, and this is going to allow you to scale even more. There's, in this headline, not a single thing that any compliance officer would look at and be like, well, I mean, they would want proof of some of these claims, but aside from that, like, this would run. It would run really, really well. Whereas promise copy increasingly is becoming harder and harder to run. So then we get into the leads. So this, because nobody knows who Zach Scheit is, this is more about the value of the information. The information I'm about to share with you is not common knowledge. It's actually been a carefully kept secret for years, but not anymore, because today I'm going to unveil the methods that thousands of people use to generate almost effortless income instantly in many cases. We often say, me, Kyle Milligan, other people say, in a sales letter, in the lead, this is all the headline, and then the headline complex, and then right here after Dear Reader is where the lead begins. We often say that within 4 lines of the headline complex, you have to show what's in it for May. Look at this. What's in it for May? Now let's look at this other example. This is an indirect headline, but what's the first line? How would you like to turn $3,500 into $50 million? That's exactly what marketing legend Gene Schwartz's secrets and strategies did for a fledgling micro business, turning it into a multinational corporation. Gene is said to have generated over $2 billion in sales working from home. One ad he wrote sold nearly 2 million copies of a single $25 book. And then it's a whole bunch about Gene Schwartz. This is, those of you who read Great Leads, what kind of lead is this? It's a secret lead for a book. It's not an offer lead, though this might make you think that it is. No, this is a secret lead. Very, very cool. Very indirect lead. And then this, pure credibility. Notice how in the first page, we don't know what the book is. I mean, those of you in the copywriting space probably know what the book is. But as you go through, one thing you realize is this is really selling Gene's ideas and Gene's credibility. It's using his own copy to sell it. His hit ratio was 85%, meaning that one out of every 100 direct mail packages he wrote, 85 were winners. In baseball terms, look at this dimensionalization. That's a batting average of 850. And even among the top DM writers today, few even come close to matching Gene's track record. This is all amazing credibility. And this is using that cred to lead this indirect lead. Because guess what? This is a secret lead too. What's the book? I gotta know what this book is. That was written by this dude. I gotta know what the book is. And we don't know what the book is until page 3. And then the rest of it is bullets selling the book. And then we pivot to an offer. Again, when you're selling a book, you don't need a whole lot of copy because people are like, yeah, I'll buy a book, especially if it's cheap. And so when you get a book that feels this valuable and it comes for free with this particular course, the Gene Schwartz graduate course today, $95 value. Not now, as anyone who's ever read Breakthrough Advertising can tell you, and basically this is not focusing on the course. This is focusing on the book. I've talked before about how good indirect pieces of copy sell the bonus, not the product. And if you want an example of what I mean when I say that, this is an example of that. This is an example of that too. If you scroll way down, boop, boop, boop. You find them in the page of the Big Book of Income. More secrets. This free book, chock full of tips, yada, yada, yada. Oh, we'll get there. Look at this proof. Like all this backup of like, listen, I use the secret and now I get to do this thing. How to claim a $152 Hanukkah check even if you aren't Jewish. Like, how cool is that? Look at that bullet. That's such a good bullet. It's so good. Oh, I love that. Anyway, so we're moving on. Look at this. Page 26 of 46 is when we see what the offer actually is. You get the Big Book of Income once you sign up for this monthly research advisory. There you go. The book is the hook. You're selling the book, and then you're like, listen, why settle for just a book when you can get monthly income secrets? There you go. And then bingo, bango, boom. Try it free for the next 30 days. Get a refund if you don't like it. Easy. That is what is it? Is it a continuity offer? I forget the name of that specific, like delayed billing offer, I believe it's called. And so, but wait, there's more. And as you go down, you get a variety of different bonuses, free gifts. It literally says, and more free gifts. So you're selling the book for 26 pages. Then you introduce the actual product. Then you're selling the product plus the book. And then to spice up the offer, then you introduce free bonuses. How could you say no to this offer? If you are already sold on this book, you're gonna take this offer. That's why book offers are so very successful, because you really just have to sell people on the idea of getting a hold of this book, and then attaching it to a more expensive product is just a no-brainer. And it makes that sale much, much easier to achieve. So give us a swipe of these two, please. No, pay me. I'll share it in copy we like in the Discord a little bit later. I could absolutely do a full masterclass on indirect and compliant headlines. I'll do a masterclass on headlines at some point in the future. But one thing that the whole reason why I brought this up was because very few people, I feel like, when they set out to write a book offer, really understand the architecture of like why these work, what they're being used at. You have to understand the book is the hook, and you need to approach it in a more indirect way to make that work. Whereas here, you're just coming out and saying Atomic Habits will help you supercharge your personal success. And then a testimonial, which is fine. Dear friend, if you'd like a proven way to build habits that last, whether you want to quit smoking, lose weight, reduce stress, or achieve lasting success, then this is the most important letter you'll read today. I'll show you why in a minute. And that's fine, but compare that to this. Building so much intrigue. It takes time and page space to build intrigue. And over here, same deal. By the end of page 2, do we have any doubt of how valuable the secrets inside of the book are? No, not a single doubt. Whereas here, you're just throwing out a lot of different stuff really quickly. Like you're throwing dynamite into the sea in the hopes that you're going to catch somebody who might want to do one of these things. And I got to tell you, just from experience, again, I've been doing this for far too long. I'm ready to retire. I'm old, I'm cranky, yada, yada. When you write this way, you're trying to appeal to too many people at once. And if you try to appeal to too many people at once, you're going to run into a problem. You're going to appeal to nobody. So that's my suggestion for you. Now, quick question. Does giving the book's name give away the farm? Will they go look for the book and ignore the course now? Entirely possible. Entirely possible. There are ways that you can do that. So, like, for example, if you were framing this not as a how to promise headline, but rather as a book, here's how to get it for free headline, or a free plus shipping kind of offer, just pay for shipping and I'll send you this book for free. Those kinds of offers. Yeah, you can get away with revealing the book. After all, this is a $49 offer and it reveals the name of the book in the headline. This is fine. And this, man, I cannot begin to tell you how many copies of this book got sold. And like this offer, this sales letter was knocked off at Agora so many times because of how successful it was. It just works. It's a gimmick that works. Now, the reason why it works as a gimmick when you frame it as a free plus shipping or something like that is because if they do look up how much it costs on Amazon, for example, you can make the argument that, hey, why spend $20 on Amazon for this book when you could just spend this amount of money and get all these other bonuses and benefits without having to just get the book from Amazon? That's a framing that works consistently again and again. And it's why gimmicks like this work so very, very well. This is even more indirect. This is not using its freeness as a hook. It's using its intrinsic value as the hook and the intrigue it builds from there. And then it uses credibility to add even more to that. Back in the day when this ran, copies of Breakthrough Advertising were selling for $900. The original, like before. So Brian Kurtz, I think, bought the licensing rights for it from Boardroom. I could be hazy on those details, but that book used to be sold for a lot more, especially before it was pirated. So And I think that Brian Kurtz still uses it as a like, hey, spend $300 in this book, but I'll throw in a bunch of bonuses as well. Hey, we used to sell this for $900. Now we're selling it for $300. Again, that's how you get copy breakthrough advertising, which my copy is right up there. So really quick, we got a tangential question. Do you recommend using GPT to help with dimensionalization? I mean, if you're really struggling with it, no, I would recommend instead looking at my dimensionalization masterclass if you can afford to get into the Patreon. If you can't afford to get into the Patreon, my recommendation is to go look up some blog posts by, I think it's Roy Furr and David Deutsch, who both wrote free blog posts about dimensionalization. And both are very, very good. So go check those out. My thing with GPT is that it has been trained on what's been done before. And so, listen, how many of you have read the bullet? Where was it? How to claim a $152 Hanukkah check even if you aren't Jewish. Do you think GPT could really come up with that? Ain't no way, ain't no how. So that's the problem that you run into with ChatGPT. Not only has it been trained on like the lowest common denominator, it's an algorithm that uses linear algebra, and so it's trying to find a linear regression of like what is the most likely thing to come next. So your copy, if you use GPT, is always going to be, by its very nature, the most average bland ass thing it's been trained on. All right, so that's problem one. Problem two is, what if you want to come up with a new hook? You're going to struggle with that because it can't think of anything new because it uses training data. Okay, so that's another problem. And then another thing too is if ChatGPT doesn't understand like the nuances of the different kinds of dimensionalization, you're going to run into some trouble there. For brainstorming, if it helps you, I mean, sure, via con Dios or something like that. But ultimately, the reason why you would get hired is because you can come up with stuff like this that's so like out of the ordinary and so unusual. Like, you just gotta know what that is. It's so weird. Who would come up with that? That sells really well. So anyway, is the book really sold? And hello everybody. Show us my copy. I have shown my copy before. This is not about my copy. This is about this copy. I could probably pull up a sales order. Anyway, I'm not going to do that. This is a distraction. Anyway, should why in a minute, but first you should know my method isn't typical. I'm not implying you'll magically succeed or do anything at all for that matter. Listen, how many of you, if you decided you wanted to get 1% better every day and learn how to supercharge your personal success, and then the third paragraph in was, I'm not implying you'll be able to do anything. How many of you would be sold? How many would you keep reading? Does that feel beneficial, enticing, exciting? Listen, I think it's good. It's ultimately good to temper promises. I think it's great to do that. Bonus points, if you don't make promises in the first place, you never have to do this. Just saying. Just putting that out there. Another benefit of writing more indirect kinds of copy. But one thing that you'll commonly see in book promotions is leading off with a list of bullets, especially as like part of the headline complex. Squeeze as much as an extra $6,840 per year out of Social Security benefits. Upgrade your savings account and earn 12 times more interest. I can't believe more seniors aren't using this simple trick. Collect a rare 7% gold dividend that nobody is talking about. It's paid like clockwork for over 10 years too. How to make $35 an hour walking on the beach. Earn up to $1,720 in backdoor rental income. Like, I'm already sold. Like, even if, like, listen, even if in the lead, the copywriter was just like, now, to be clear, we can't promise that every single secret is going to work for you. But can you imagine if you were able to add $6,840 back into your pocket this year? How much that would be worth to you? Surely that would be worth the cost of a book. Even when you are tempering and lowering expectations, you can still be not aggressive, but honest about the value that you're presenting. Yeah, and that's exactly right. That headline and this particular piece of copy tempered expectations as well, but it led with cred first. And this one led with benefits first. Whereas here, where's the cred? Where's the benefits? Where's the intrigue? So that's the point that I'm trying to make here. So really quick, I spent most of my time talking about this and showing examples because, again, I love talking about book promos. I love talking about this stuff. And I think that it is so, so smart that you started off creating a sample piece that's a book promo. Like, I can't, one, it's like, if you want to write a sales letter around that, like, it clearly is great practice. It's a very easy kind of sales letter to write, and it clearly shows your chops as a copywriter. I'm trying to help show you like alternative ways of thinking about this to force you to try to get better so that it's an even stronger piece in your portfolio. So it doesn't make sense for me to press on until I see a revised headline on lead, because again, people aren't going to push back in. But again, like, one thing that you're doing a lot in your lead is selling from your back foot. And Dan Kennedy talks about that a lot, which is you always want to sell with your best foot forward. Don't sell like being like, well, don't buy this book. It's good to qualify people, but you want to make sure that the people who would buy the book are not put off of it first. I hope that's clear. Now, in terms of your actual bullets, breakthrough tactic for overcoming procrastination. Very few self-help resources recommend this, and I think it's 200 times easier than the standard methods everyone else tries. You'll get a crystal clear understanding of what I mean on page 29. Yeah, this bullet is not bad. I give it a solid B, and B for bullet. One thing that you might consider doing is making it a little bit more clear, like what kind of secret it is, using some sort of new nomenclature, things like that. Let's see. Guard your mind. You've been misinformed by self-help gurus and their shiny programs. Oh, I know that there are only 4 proven steps to behavioral change, and they work in perfect harmony. This bullet is not as good. A little bit weaker, and the reason for that is because, like, I want you to go through your bullets and cut out everything that does not support the premise or the point you were trying to make with your bullet. Now, question, Alex C. I may not be aware of or appreciate the format of copy, but this feels unnecessarily long. And that is a huge misconception, especially if we're talking about long-form direct response book promotions that use a book to hook onto a other more expensive product, especially a continuity product. What we have found through vigorous testing is that the more copy there is and the more objections are overcome and the more benefits are presented, the more you sell. And so having a 46-page argument as to why you should get this book and then also all the bonuses attached to this book. Listen, I didn't save this sales letter for no reason. This sales letter is a proven winner. And whenever we try to test something shorter, hey, buy this book. Here's 3 bullets about why you should buy this book. Give us $20. It doesn't sell. And so ultimately, one thing that we've discovered, especially as we install heat maps on sales pages and things like that, is that at a certain point, if people don't want to read all of it, they start skimming. And then they sort of like read the bullets, the bolded bits. And then if they find something that hooks their interest, they'll read a little bit more. And if they go to a subhead, there is only one small catch, which I think you'll really like. Then they'll pay attention, like, all right, what is this? And then they get more details. And that's kind of how people read. People are grazers for the most part. And one thing that we found is that that's just how people interact with every single type of page. Sales letter or sales page, doesn't matter what. And I tell this story a lot, but I was having lunch with the CRO for big banks like Citibank. And I asked her, what's one split test you always want to propose, but that the clients always push back on, that is just going to be a winner if they only let you do it? And she said a very simple thing: write longer copy. Almost always wins because it overcomes more objections, keeps people on the page longer. That's it. So let me look at a few more bullets. How to deal with the fear of failure. The secret is found in the behavioral change system. The secret is found in the behavioral change system that's built to work even if you can only give 1% each day. That is a confusing sentence. The easiest way to snowball your daily efforts into big things and establish habits. How specific is big things? It's not. Forget the drunk frat boy advice and typical rant style self-help tips you're used to and sick of. You spend too much time in your bullets trying to sell against other people that you haven't bothered to really emphasize why what you're selling is worth buying. That's something you want to pay attention to in your bullets. How to axe your bad habits with easy to recognize cues. Yeah, I mean, listen, I see in here a competence. There's a competence in here that I don't see in a lot of newbie copywriting. And I want to express my appreciation and admiration to you. You clearly know, like, you're on the right track, is what I'm trying to say. But I really feel like you haven't gone through your copy line by line and said, well, why you should still succeed even if all you can do is show up on your bad days. Is there a way that you can phrase that better? Is there a way that you can phrase that more clearly? Is there a way that you can phrase that more beneficially? Is there a way you can make this bullet more ultra specific? I don't see evidence of that kind of thinking. And I think that if you go through other book promotions and see how they did it, and really pay attention line by line to how they did it, that your copy is going to be a lot stronger. Austin, do you have any questions for me before I move on? Is there anything else that you want my attention on? This is weak urgency, by the way. This does not work. I'll tell you what does work. Act fast, supply is limited to the first 450 readers that respond today. That works. Do you want to know why it works? Because you can say later on in the sales copy, hey, we have an ongoing supply of books going to our fulfillment center, and we can only hold this many of them. Only say it if it's true. That's why you have a daily limit. We can sell this many books. And if you don't order today, you don't get it today. Justifiable urgency. This is a bad justification. Okay. I'm all good, Sean. You really cleared up what I needed to know. Wonderful. Please bring it back my way when it's stronger. Listen, I spent so much time on this for everybody because I think that there were a lot of lessons in here that will be beneficial to you and to everybody. I have so much love for book promos. You guys have no idea. And so I really hope that everybody got something from this, at least one little nugget of advice or benefit that can help you in your copy down the road. Yeah. No, I appreciate Frank Kern's stuff. One thing that you also have to consider is like, who was that book offer going out to? Like, what was that sales letter going out to? When, are the appeals structured in a very similar way? Like, was this meant for like an audience that was more like internal to his list, or was it meant for an external audience? These are all things that you have to consider. A promo like this was scaled on the networks, and this was scaled via email. And so this was designed for a cold audience, and this was designed for a cold audience. And so, this was designed for, this was sold via affiliates and via an email list. So it was not as like meant to be as broad reaching as the LIR example, the lifetime income report. But this still had like greater reach. But one thing that you always got to consider when you're writing your copy is, who is the audience this is going out to? If this is going to James Clear's list, most of them probably already have Atomic Habits. These are things you got to keep in mind. When I read CT newbie copy, do you think your compliance meter goes off every 5 seconds? Yeah, it absolutely does. I was just, so I am friends with a number of legal editors, and we joke around a lot on Facebook Messenger. He's a really good dude, really smart dude. And he will sometimes share with me like some of the claims that people in my own business, like some of the stuff that they say. And it's just like, my God, like the things that copywriters try to get away with. And really the fundamental problem is like, as long as you're trying to be honest, like you can reframe anything. Like you can say whatever you want to say, so long as you say what it is very clearly up front. So, this person is playing some 4D chess. If you're selling a book and you're selling a newsletter, there's something that you want your reader to be. A reader. Somebody who's not able to get through a long form sales letter is not going to be a good customer for a book and newsletter publishing business. And so without disqualifying readers, the copy itself automatically disqualifies readers. These are things to keep in mind. Very, very good observation. I have made that before, and I did not do it this time, so I appreciate you bringing it up. All right. So that was the first piece of copy. 48 minutes. It took me to go over one thing. Now, that was a long form sales letter for a book. This is going to be a homepage spec for a dog trainer who helps dog parents that are frustrated and overwhelmed. Main goal of this page is to get the reader's email through the lead. Okay. So some of my comments here are going to be a little similar. I wish Alex were on stream because he's sold dog products before. He's the master of this. But I've written many a homepage before. Now, I want to draw your attention to something very, very quick, very, very clearly. Good news for dog parents who are frustrated at their pup's naughty behavior. This free masterclass will teach you 3 secrets for a calmer, more relaxed, and overall happier dog. Now, I want to show you a comparison between this. Again, this is a homepage. Imagine like you wanted to go to doggytrainer.com. You type it in, and the very first thing you see on doggytrainer.com is this free masterclass. 3 secrets for a calmer, more relaxed, and overall happier dog. Promise-based copy. Let me show you an alternative way, and the reason why we do it this way. This is a homepage for effectively the same kind of product. It has a carousel at the top. I'm not a huge fan of carousels. I've seen them work. I've seen them not work most of the time, but I'm not a huge fan. But look at this. spiritdogtraining.com. Positive and effective online dog training. We know what this business is. We know what they do. on demand, anytime, anywhere, clear benefit call out. And then the carousel does multiple of those. Wish your dog was focused and listen to you, learn more. Explore dog training like never before. This is a solid homepage. Learn more, and it takes us right to how we can get involved. Now, if you go into their actual courses, their actual landing pages, look at this. How to raise your puppy without getting bitten in just 10 minutes a day. Standard promise copy. But again, this is not a homepage. This is what you land on when you click on a link in an email or in an ad. If you have this on a homepage or try to present this to a business, you're going to run into a problem, which is this does not immediately represent the business, its values, its benefits. Like, this is not a good calling card for the business. There's a reason why, if you go onto a lot of websites, you have the hero image, you have a headline, and you have a clear benefit, some sort of call out. This is effective because it presents a good face for the business going forward. And usually what happens is you'll have down below that squeeze element some reason to actually sign up. This, as the first thing that people see, doesn't work, in my opinion. Again, the only way to know is to test. But in my opinion, it doesn't really work. And if you tried to pitch this to a business, they'd be like, that's not how we want to present ourselves. If this were a landing page, different story. I hope that makes sense. So again, this all fits a lot better for me, in my opinion, as a pop-up or as a squeeze page that's a separate landing page, something a little different. Let's go down a little bit more. Good testimonials, good social proof. Do any of these look like a recent memory? You feel invisible during walks as your dog gets super excited and pulls like crazy, even ignoring his favorite treats. Does your dog bark nonstop when you're having your friends or family over? The welcomes are far from welcoming. Or does he overreact to every little noise, barking constantly, even at regular things most dogs would ignore? And don't get me started on visits to the vets and groomers. I know you're overwhelmed right now. I see you're not alone. Again, the standard trappings of promise copy. And again, this is all selling the calmer, more relaxed dog. If it's a homepage, you're selling the business. Look at this. Explore dog training like never before. Our online training courses are great for dogs. This is broad because, again, it needs to appeal to everyone who would search for this business, everyone who would find this business through search or through some sort of referral link. This is written more like a not a home page, but rather a sales page. And you're going to run into some issues trying to pitch this to a business that wants to present themselves more like this. And this works better because, again, this is designed to take people from top of funnel, broad appeal, down to more narrower stuff. So, whereas here, you would ideally want this to be a landing page for a broader business. I hope that makes sense. Another thing with homepage copy, and I hope you notice this too, is it's a lot, people brought up earlier, it was Alex down here, unnecessarily long. But I'm sure Alex would agree that this particular homepage for an existing dog business, it doesn't feel very long. It feels like everything is organized in such a way. Now, listen, the number of words could be exactly the same as like a sales letter, but it doesn't feel like that because of the way that it's formatted, the way that it's split up, the way that it's organized, the way things are called out. If you write your homepage like this, like a sales page or a sales letter, you run a pretty strong risk of like losing people. Because again, they're there to get a little bit of information about your business before engaging with it a little bit further. And again, like if your main headline and main call to action is up here, what reason do they have to keep reading on? They might not. So these are all things that I'm noticing about this particular homepage copy. All things that you guys would want to consider. What are all the awareness levels of customers? Unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware. Unaware is I don't know what a 401k is. What is that? I've heard of that, but what is that? I'm totally unaware. How do I make money in the stock market? Things like that. Problem aware. I have a vicious case of bub pimples, but I have no idea what the solution is. Solution aware. Oh man, I have a vicious case of butt pimples, and I've seen all these creams, but I don't know which one's the best one. Product aware. I know that your product, but I just haven't bought it yet. Most aware is I've bought it before. Why should I buy more now? Things like that. So that's the 5 stages of awareness. And again, you can divide it up a little bit more cleanly than that. There's always going to be bleed over in copy, appealing to one and the other. But ideally, you want your sales copy that's going out to more unaware audiences to sort of catch them where they are and then bring them through the stages of awareness until they are very aware by the end of what you're selling. They're already sort of like mentally bought in, metaphorically speaking, to your business. And that's when you make your offer. So, yeah, God, sorry. Again, it's easy for me to do that. We have a whole page, guys. Copythatshow.com. Copywriting guides, books every copywriter should read. And we literally have books that we recommend and a video showing you why we recommend them. There you go. Okay, so getting back to this, sorry, not that. This. The problem that I'm having with this is that it's not organized in a particularly clean way for a homepage. It's not doing what a homepage is meant to do. It's selling a masterclass, a free masterclass, to get people onto an email list, which again, big problem if this business needs a homepage and not a landing page. So then a little bit of cred. And one thing that I would encourage you to think about is looking at this landing page. When it comes to like 47 income secrets and a book about them, and then also a newsletter about monthly income tips, very few people woke up wanting that. And so because there are more nascent objections and lower nascent desire, you need more copy to overcome that. That's why you can sell a book with long-form direct response copy. People with bad dogs, why do I say it like that? Dogs. People with bad dogs, they probably woke up this morning because the dog was being bad. Let's be real. And so they're going to hit this page wanting a solution, wanting someone to help them, wanting someone to show them their life with a good dog. All right. So, online course, you are guaranteed to raise a well-behaved, social, and friendly puppy. And again, look at how this information is organized and look at how, very specific. Even though there's a lot of copy here, it's a fairly long page. It still feels like we're getting all the information we need. So, one thing that I would say about this is that it's spending too much time going over things that may or may not be applicable to what the person is wanting. Now, if you're selling this as like a landing page for this particular dog training, you have the benefit of using accordions. So an accordion on a web page is basically you have a question or a call out, and then clicking on that expands it and then shows the text. So if you're actually writing copy for a business that would use that, you would say, hey, development person, put this in an accordion, and then you would have that. But right now, this is all just sort of written like a landing page. And again, you're spending so much time selling a free thing that if it's a squeeze page, you should probably be able to sell a free masterclass on dog training to get people to sign up to an email list using nothing more than a pop-up. I don't know if all this copy is necessary. 5 pages of copy is necessary to get people to just sign up. And you might, and trust me, I've tested this. I have tested long copy versus short copy for squeeze pages for, hey, just sign up to this email list. And I was blown away when I realized that for selling something, an actual paid product, long copy wins. For getting somebody to sign up to something for free, long copy makes you seem like you're trying too hard. The winning squeeze page for an offer that I actually used to run was a headline, 3 bullets, an image of the report, and a form to sign up. And that was it. And so that's something that you want to keep in mind, that if your goal is to get emails, that might be a format that you are considering looking at. This feels like it's wrong for a homepage. For a landing page, tighten it up, organize it a little bit more cleanly. Do things like that. Bad dogs. Capiche. Person who wrote this, do you have any questions for me about how to improve this? I want I think Alex would probably say a lot of the same things about this. This is not a headlines masterclass. And I've already given some of the fundamentals to consider when writing headlines. I had a whole 40-minute spiel basically about headlines. All right. I don't see any questions coming in about this particular piece of copy, so I hope that this was all helpful. Again, really be clear about what this is trying to be and where it's going to go and the marketing function that it's trying to serve. So let's move on. Oh, so this looks like an email. Let's zoom in. Oh, a value email for a man's life coach. My goal is to build rapport with the audience that they may have self-esteem issue and need some motivation. I just did a whole masterclass on value email, so I'm excited to look at this. Is that for all squeeze pages lead magnets, or do you use more copy for hour-long webinars? I've done it both ways. I've done long copy to get people to sign up for webinars and trainings, and I've done short copy to get people to sign up to webinars and trainings. And what I've found is that depending on the training, depending upon the webinar, like for example, like a trading service, trading services, long copy on the hot list sign up page, the squeeze page, typically does a little bit better. Whereas for like business coaching and stuff like that, your Dean Graziosi kind of stuff, short copy tends to do a little bit better. Though a lot of his webinar pages were pretty busy. And so again, the only way to know is to test. But when it comes to like actual hour-long webinars, and listen, if it's just an hour-long webinar, like you want to be going for like a 90-minute webinar. Let's be real. If it's not movie length, why are you even bothering? That's partially a joke. For that hot list sign up page to get onto the webinar list, you often don't need a whole lot of copy. But again, it's about finding that right balance. Okay, subject line. Rocky Balboa destroys the pessimistic life suckers. Now, everybody in the chat, all 46 of you, I see you. Hello. I hope you're having a wonderful evening and or morning or night. If you got an email from a life coach that had this subject line, would you open it? While I'm waiting for your answer, let me answer another question. Are there particular frameworks you've encountered in terms of setting up landing pages versus home pages? For example, with some gurus telling students to use home pages are their own sort of animal. I personally have found that frameworks are mostly useless. Case in point, I once asked all the best-selling like any copywriter I know who has sold over $10 million, I once asked them, this is like a year or two ago, when you were starting out, did you ever use frameworks or templates? And they all said, every single one of them said no. So that's my opinion of the value of ADA and PAS. Keep that in mind. Oh, look at this. People are saying, no, I would not open that. No, nope, no, nope. No, hard to understand. That's a It's an indirect no. Instant delete. Guys, one thing that's going to help you is pitching your subject lines to other copywriters and asking like, hey, if you got this email, like if you got the subject line, would you open this email? Like, just do that. Find friends on Discord. I know copywriter, the whole point is to be isolated and lonely and like, your own boss and whatever. But no, seriously, go touch grass and make friends. And then pitch them. Hey, if I send you an email with this subject line, would you open it? And then if you ever hear them say, well, I mean, I'd open it because I knew it was coming from you, but the subject line, then you know it's a bad subject line. So keep that in mind. And feel free on the Discords that you participate in or the online forums and communities you participate in, feel free to reach out, just like in general chat or whatever. Be like, hey, guys, what do you think of this subject line? Or would you click on this subject line? Would you open this subject line? Which subject line do you think is better? Utilize those resources. It's going to be very, very, very good for you in terms of learning what gets attention, what doesn't. So let's see. Okay. Rephrase your question and rewrite it. Okay. So yeah, my initial reaction to the subject line was like, that's not going to get any opens. It's confusing. It's hinging too much on a reference that a lot of people are not going to make or understand. Things like that. So immediate no from me on that. So let's look at the stinger. What I'm going to say is extremely cheesy. Listen. Let's say for sake of argument, if you opened based on that subject line, you read that first sentence, would you keep reading? Big no in the chat. Big no to the stinger. Big no. Big no from me too. In fact, all the motivational stuff I've ever told you in my emails, this one belongs in the cheesy motivational quotes Hall of Fame. But if you lend me your ears and turn on your listening beacon that communicates your deep subconscious mind, I truly believe you could reignite the motivational fire. It's a whole bunch of talking about what you're going to talk about. Vapid. Hollow. Not good. It's when you write like this, you're drawing attention to the fact that you're full of hot air. There's nothing there. Not a good hook. Copy that's about how cool and crazy the thing that you're going to be talking about is not good copy. It's called fluff. It's called filler. It's called throat clearing. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's not good. Because ultimately, it's not using specific things to hook a person in and to, using an angle of approach that would actually draw a reader in. And yes, this reads like copy. Those of you who've watched these for a while understand what I mean by that. When your copy sounds like copy, it's not good copy. And this sounds like copy. All right. We have a tangential question. I know you guys recommend reading and writing copy a lot, but I read 2 copywriting books and it helped me understand a lot of the copy and why it's written that way. Is it better to read books? In my opinion, and because this is how I learned and this is how I grew, read 2 books, then really study a lot of copy. Because once you have a groundwork of theory, then you can start looking at what's working and extrapolate your own information from what's working. The problem with too much theory is, say, for example, I said something along the lines of like, hey, this homepage would be better as a squeeze page. Write your squeeze pages to be shorter. And you as a copywriter, if you read that in a book, would be like, oh, so I need my squeeze pages to be shorter. And then what I tried to do in that particular bit of the stream a few moments ago was carve out the nuance. But here's the thing. A lot of that nuance, you're only going to understand if you look at different pieces of copy going out to different contexts and understand like, okay, and asking yourself those questions like, okay, I understand the basic principles in theory. Why is this doing it this way? How is this working? That act is going to be more educational for you and give you more insights than any book ever could. I'm serious. The problem is that a lot of people have trouble extrapolating information indirectly from things, learning from observation. And for those people, they're just not going to be very good copywriters. And so, I'm not going to bother. Okay. I sort of implied the answer to this a moment ago, which is like, hey, that subject line kind of sucked for me, but I opened this email because it was you. That relationship with the byline, the from line, we call it in the industry, we call it a friendly from. That is, the email was sent from somebody that the person receiving the email recognizes and likes a lot. It's friendly from. You can get away with some horrid bullshit in your subject lines if you have a friendly from. That doesn't mean the subject line is any good. So there's a big thing there. Two books that I read. I read Michael Masterson's Persuasion and Great Leads, and then I read just so much copy. I read, I think for 3 months, I was reading 2 or 3 promos a day. I wrote by hand several promotions. I was writing copy every single day. I still have PTSD from those months. But once I had a firm grasp and I had promos going out, then I read more copywriting books. And what I discovered after reading some copywriting books was like, okay, I sort of picked up on this in the copy that I was already reading and studying. It's just been articulated a little bit more clearly. Or, hey, this book feels like it's just pulling from all these other books. Things like that. And the more books you read, the more you realize that, kind of what I've said in some of the YouTube shorts that I put out, which is that, there are some secrets of copywriting, but there's only 160 of them, and you learn most of them just by doing the work. For real. And yes, I agree. Kyle Milligan's book, Take Their Money, is a very pragmatic copy book. Highly recommend. Friend of the show. Not just test the theory, observe. Observe the copy that's out there. Observe the copy that's working. And have the theory in your mind and be like, how is this being a representation, enacting the theory that I know? This feels like this contradicts this other thing that I learned. Why might it be working? Why might it have been done this way? And interrogating yourself that way is going to force you to grow, because it's going to force you to think critically about what you are reading. And that's going to make you learn. Okay, so all of this is fluff. Listen, I was going to go into this Whetstone Wednesday stream being like, the moment I would have clicked off as a reader, I'm not going to continue reading, but I can't be that mean. I apologize. I'm going to read a little bit more and then see if there's something good here that I can hook onto. Anyway, here's the story. Yesterday, while burning time on Facebook Reels, I came across a clip from Rocky Balboa. It was Rocky telling his son, despite all the misfortunes in his life, why he had to keep going towards his dreams. So, okay, this feels like the first little bit of a hook, of a stinger that we can use. Great. All right. So you buried the lead. Everything up to this point you could delete. Now, the question that I have for you guys is this written in a way that feels entertaining or engaging? Or valuable, for that matter? My answer to that is no. And some validation in the chat. No. Nobody cares that you were wasting time on Facebook Reels. Nobody cares about the great, glorious life lesson that you're going to give to them that you learned while wasting your time on Facebook Reels. How about this as a stinger? What is it about a failed boxer that sold, and then you insert the amount of millions of dollars that the Rocky movies have sold? Because that's the story of Rocky Balboa. In fact, if you watch the first Rocky movie, the movie that launched an entire, X number $1 million franchise, you'll notice that it's a movie about a man struggling to succeed as a boxer, dot dot dot, and then getting punched in the face until he lost. That's the story of Rocky. But what is it about that movie that keeps people coming back for more and more and more? Do you see what I'm doing? I'm positing the question that would be in the reader's mind. Ultimately, the movie Rocky is about a failure, a dude who's really struggling. And even though people admire that story because of how rugged and determined this dude is. And even though he loses, it's not about the fact that he loses. It's about the fact that he fought for everything. It's about the fight. And imagine if this value email ended that way. Here's the thing about being a copywriter. It's about the fight. And if you want something out of life, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's about how much fight you bring. Imagine if this email said that. Ooh, I just got chills. That's how you know it's good copy. When you narcissistically say something that would be attractive to you. But that's the point. Now, one thing really quick. This is a value email. So what's in it for me doesn't really count. There has to be some element of intrigue. There has to be some reason to keep reading that implies a what's in it for me, but it doesn't have to be a directly stated benefit. Again, this is a value email. And what are value emails? They're meant to entertain, educate, delight, and instruct. They're meant to provide value. And so ultimately, the whole purpose of a stinger of that, the first line is so important, is basically getting somebody to immediately be invested in what you were trying to tell them. Do you have to learn email design before you begin to work with e-commerce brands? No, but it helps. Especially since a lot of e-commerce brands are very visual. So this value email is not really working for me because, again, you need to frame it as valuable, and you need to present a story or an essay or a topic in a way that feels entertaining or worth learning about. I just did it one way. If I were to write this email, I just showed you how I would do it, which is I would start by asking the questions that the reader would have in their mind when you first bring up, how much money the Rocky movies have made, especially when you consider the facts about the Rocky movies. So that's how I would approach it. And from there, then you would be able to go into more specific advice. But ultimately, I don't think that this is really working. And so I would suggest you go back to the drawing board and really, before you ever submit copy for review to anyone, go through your copy line by line and ask yourself, is this really supporting what I'm trying to accomplish in this email? Because if you find stuff where it's just okay, this email would be just as strong or stronger if I cut this, well, you should cut it. All right. So I'm not gonna dwell on value emails. I did a whole masterclass. It's still up for free for a limited time, on the live tab. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. And also, that's not a framework. That was just me coming up with something from the dome, how I would approach this topic. Is there a cap? No, but Gmail and Outlook and a few other email service providers, when you go over 2,000 to 2,500 words, I'm a little hazy on the details, they will actually cut off your email and not show the rest of it. You have to actually click a button, and it's a very subtle button to show the rest of the email. So you can't send more than around 7 to 8 pages of copy via email. Something to keep in mind. All right. Let's see. This is a product page practice for a sous vide cooker. Ooh, I like that. Leads come to it through nurture sequences. Great. So nurture sequences, if somebody just comes onto an email list, they're going to get a whole bunch of emails that are hey, let me tell you about the business. Let me tell you about what we sell. Here's our mission, yada, yada, yada. a pre-launch waiting list in the brand's website. Okay, cool. I have one headline without copy. And a second headline I went with. Do you think the one I went is the better, more unique of the two? Also, can I use this as a portfolio piece? Well, you can use anything as a portfolio piece. The thing that you as a copywriter want to do is constantly be improving your portfolio pieces. So once you have something that you think is better, then, downplay the stuff that, you're not as fond of anymore. And then, give primary attention to the things that are, you think are better and represent your abilities more. All right. Headline 1. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so people can see. Introducing our newest, most powerful sous vide with on-device controls if you don't want to use the app. I feel like it's sort of like how some copywriters I know start positioning themselves as like authentic 100% human copy, no chat GPT. Having actual electronic appliances that don't require you to download a fucking app is going to be a new selling proposition. Totally. Listen, I don't want to engage with my microwave via an app. Get out of here. So I think that this is going to be a hook that people should investigate more and more as time goes on. Would you recommend curiosity clicks, i.e. building a bunch of intrigue only to tell a reader, click here to find out what it is? I mean, that's the whole premise of a lift. A lift emails, that's the whole logic behind a lift. So yeah. I've seen some sales letters that were actually broken up across like 7 or 8 pages, and it was like, stay tuned, click here for the next installment of the story, and then you progress through the sales letter almost as though it were a little mini book. And those are I guess what you would call curiosity clicks. But yeah, like it doesn't really matter what you call it. Like this is a common thing, and as a principle, like you want to be able to use curiosity where it helps improve the sale or improve conversions. Yeah. Character limit, not word limit, is 10,000. Go over it and it might get wonky when you try to send it. So 10,000 characters, that is letters and spaces and punctuation marks. So 10,000, above 10,000 is a little dicey. Yeah, it's a new, fresh. Jessica, I agree 100%. Technology is moving on beyond me, and you know what? There's a reason why there's a market for dumb phones now. I have heard a guy can write emails in 10 to 15 minutes. For me, it takes more than half an hour. Any thoughts? Yeah, you need more practice. Go look at my I have a 4-hour masterclass. It's from blank page to inbox, and I wrote 4 emails live, including like a 2,000 word value email, like live in front of everybody. And some of those emails they took me 10 to 20 minutes, including the time it took me to answer questions on the stream. So yeah, it's just a matter of practice of having done it so much that you internalize, like, okay, if I'm selling this thing or trying to make this argument, I can use this hook to get in this way. And it just speeds it up. Okay. Red, this is his. So I sort of understand the succinctness of copy, the way you explained it through the Bullets Masterclass, but I'm having trouble knowing the story should. Don't understand what you're saying there. Part 2, start so that it bypasses the selling filer. How do I don't understand your question, buddy. I apologize. Could you rephrase? Does that multiple part copy for that offer where y'all all went to one house with Todd Brown still exist somewhere? Oh yeah, that was the Copy Legends. Hold on. There you go. Copy Legends behind the scenes. There. Hey, look, there's my bald head right there. Next to David Deutsch and next to Kyle Milligan, next to Kia Hug, and next to Pauline Longden. Look at this. Look at this. This was a wild experience. I enjoyed it. There's Chris Haddad. Listen, Chris and Dodd talked to each other. We talked to each other once, and we were just like, "Oh my god, did we just become best friends?" It was a good time. But yeah, so this is an example of what I was talking about before. I don't know if the multiple part sales letter still exists, but this was originally sold in the same way. And yeah, the copy is really, really good. Todd is a great copywriter, great marketer, great copywriter. You mentioned before that story bypasses the selling filter people have. How do I know when to use story instead of copy? So, okay. You want to use story when you have something that like doesn't have a whole lot of nascent demand, or when like there's not a lot of awareness. And one of the things that the story does, and it's really easy to do story compliantly too, because again, you're not promising anything. You're telling a story about somebody's success in doing something. Story is very useful when you're going to more unaware audiences. If you are like, I'll give you an example. Say you went to your dentist and you have a pain in your tooth, and your dentist opened up with, "Now, that's interesting that you ask, because when I was in dental school, a patient came across my table. And this patient had strange jaundiced eyes and a weird foppish kind of hat. It was a very bizarre experience to see a man of this particular stature with bright, bright yellow eyes. And you, there to see your dentist about a pain in your tooth, would be like, where the fuck is this going? What the fuck is going on?" Do you understand what I mean there? Where it's like, if you go in with a specific problem, wanting a specific thing from a very specific person, and this person tried to use a story, you'd be like, I'm leaving out the door. But if you were sitting at a bar and somebody came out and sat next to you and said, "Hey, do you see those two hobos fighting outside on the street?" You would immediately be like, "What?" Like, what? No, I didn't do that. And then you could be like, yeah, like one of them like had a dog and the other one tried to take the other dude's dog. You start telling the story. Again, unaware, cold audience versus I have a problem and I want it fixed. Sitting next to Kyle. Man, you should be like, Kyle came in when I was like already a publisher. You know, I helped him a lot. He and I have been good friends for a long time. Yes, there you go. The more aware a reader is, the less need there is for a story. Now, here's the thing, and this is something that people don't know. If you have the person, the patient, with a pain in their tooth, and they have an objection, like, "Oh, you know, I don't want to use nitrous." And then you, as the dentist, were like, "Well, let me tell you a story about what happened to me when I had a patient that didn't want to use nitrous the last time." You can use story as proof, as an example of what you're trying to argue. But rarely do you want to lead with proof when somebody is on the more aware stage. Yeah. And I got to focus on this copy, so I am going to skip questions for a little bit. And stop doing this. You seem really needy and it's pathetic. Stop it. And yeah, I would agree with this. And here, this is the point that I was trying to make. Stories shift belief. Compliments to the chef isn't only for 5-star chefs. With easy temperature controls through an on-device control panel or the Wi-Fi powered app, the new Anova Precision Cooker 3.0 guarantees precise temperatures for praiseworthy sous vide meals every time. Here's one thing that I like about this particular thing. We got easy temperature controls, you know, beneficial feature, or a feature that's been phrased beneficially. Wi-Fi powered app. This new Easy Safe Big, don't forget that, guarantees precise temperatures for praiseworthy sous vide meals. Now, here's what I like about the word praiseworthy. This puts the B in subtle, and so I want to draw all your attention to it. Praiseworthy touches on a deeper benefit. This is. How do you pronounce it? Piquant, piquant. People want to cook and be celebrated for the cooking. When was the last time your mom made you a great meal and you were like, Mom, holy crap, this tastes amazing. Thank you. Like I was shocked. This is so good. How many of you have done that in the last couple of weeks? Give it a shot and see the reaction you get, because you're going to realize how meaningful it is for a cook to receive praise for the work and time and effort they're putting in. Deeper benefits. And offer status as well. So this is subtle, but I like it. Everything else is sort of, I can see this working. It's totally fine. Compliments to the chef is only for 5-star chefs. That headline, meh. I don't know. This doesn't really do anything for me. Headline 2. Serve joy at the touch of a button. Now, this I like more, because this is too abstract. Like you can have something like this later on, like in a bullet or something, but as a headline, it's too cerebral. It's not immediate enough. Whereas this, serve joy, benefit at the easy thing. You understand what I'm doing here? Serving joyful meals, okay. Careful about being unintentionally redundant. Be careful about that. Just got easier with the new Anova Precision Cooker 3.0. Simply set your sous vide temperature by tapping the on-device screen or Wi-Fi powered app. Then go about your life as 1,100 watts of power heats your water quickly and perfectly cooked meals. For perfectly cooked meals your loved ones will enjoy time and again. I like this better than this. Perfectly cooked meals your loved ones will enjoy time and time again. Again, touching on the deeper benefit. It's less subtle than praiseworthy, but it's still doing a similar job. And so I think that ultimately this copy probably wins for me, if I had to choose between the two. Now, mealtime should be happy times. Image, bring joy to your table with steakhouse quality steaks. You know, one thing that you can do is actually bring in some proof. Like, for example, like talk like about social proof, or talk about how like cooking steaks sous vide is all the rage right now. And what you're doing there is you're changing the frame a little bit and not making the assertion, hey, cooking steaks with a sous vide makes them really good. Instead, you're saying, hey, look at all those people that are cooking steaks using a sous vide. Like, there's a reason why this is a craze that's catching on. Why is, how is this, steak cooking method going viral? ? And then that leads you into the Anova Precision Cooker 3.0 proves why sous vide steaks are all the rage right now. These are things to keep in mind. Because, yeah, and the same thing. You can show a video demonstration. Okay, social proof in the next section. So, but again, Roshida, the reason why I'm throwing out these ideas is because I want you to, look at this. Bring joy to your table with steakhouse quality steaks. It's fine. It's fine. People would pay for this copy. People have paid for this copy. Absolutely. Part of what I'm trying to do for you is give you ideas for how you can make it even stronger, more punchy, more alluring, more captivating, more enticing. Other words that mean you sell more steak sous vides, things like that. The Anova Precision Cooker 3.0 comes with 1,100 watts of power to help your water bath quickly reach the precise temperatures needed to make perfect steaks your loved ones will enjoy every time. Find ways to add punch to your sentences, and one of the ways you can do that is just by making them a little shorter. With instead of this, consider this: with 1,100 watts of power, you will never wait for your Anova Precision Cooker 3.0 to prepare your water bath to reach the perfect temperature. Tighten that up, but like you can rearrange the sentence in such a way that the information delivered in a different order is going to ultimately make the sentence shorter, and that's going to increase the readability and also make the benefits feel stronger. Things to keep in mind. Serve finicky eaters delicious meals they will love. High quality construction nixes the hardware and software malfunctions common in other brands. Again, your sentences are a little mealy, like a little too much. Think punch. Guaranteeing flavorful meals even your pickiest eaters will love. Yeah. I don't know if that's working for me, because again, like guaranteeing flavorful meals and then hardware and software malfunctions, I don't really put that together, because you're making a logical leap here between hardware and software malfunctions and the quality and tastiness of the food, and the quality and tastiness of the food overcoming picky eaters. So there's multiple levels there that like I don't think this is working as well as you want it to be. Begging them to take just one more bite is a thing of the past. Here talking about like selling people on using like a sous vide to cook food, like that I think is a strong idea, but ultimately at the same time, like I don't know if that connects logically as well as you want to hardware and software malfunctions. Do you understand what I'm saying there? Like, and then also like, you can sell against alternatives using this, but this is the kind of objection that you would want to bury a little bit, because the moment you're just like, our sous vide doesn't have any hardware or software malfunctions, those are a thing of the past, you immediately inject the objection into the reader's mind, where it's just like, wait a minute, do I need to worry about hardware and software malfunctions making my food taste bad? Like, that might not have been an objection that people had. So those are things that you want to keep in mind. You want to be careful with that. And I'll use a story from my own life. I was once at a $25,000 mastermind. I got in for free with Brian Kurtz put it on, and there was a supplement salesman there, and he was very drunk and his breath was very bad, and he cornered me, and he for an hour was apropos of nothing. I said nothing. This dude was trying to convince me that there was no arsenic in his supplements, that his supplements were arsenic free. And no matter how many lawsuits he had, no matter how many pictures the people suing him had of their fingers turning black, he had it tested and there was no arsenic in his supplements. And do you want to know what I thought by the end of that conversation? This motherfucker probably has some arsenic in his goddamn supplements. That's what I mean by avoiding objections that the reader probably might not even have in the beginning. So those are just, I'm putting that out there to just keep that in mind. Put that in your back pocket. Host unforgettable dinner parties. A larger warming capacity of 16 quarts makes it easy to prepare multiple servings. Roshida, I think the biggest problem here is that your descriptions are a little boring. You want to vary it up, switch it up. Every single sentence has the same sort of like dragging on quality to them. You will cement your reputation as the host with the blissful parties everyone wants to attend. These, they just sort of drag a little bit. Try something with a little bit more punch. Host unforgettable dinner parties. Say goodbye to, like, what would be a good way to like enter into that? Running out of food, period, question mark, thing of the past, period. 16 quarts makes it easy to prepare any size meal you want. Things of that nature. And again, like, you have benefits, blissful parties everyone wants to attend. I see what you're doing here. There's good thinking here, good benefits, good deeper benefits that attach to things that people want. You're not doing the newbie copywriter thing of just being like, and this thing has 16 quarts. No. But now, Roshida, you are at the level where you need to look at your sentences with a very skeptical eye and be like, is that phrased as powerfully as I possibly can? It becomes more of a nuance of language thing at a certain point in your career. And that's what separates like B-level copy and A-level copy, where every single line, every single sentence compels you to yearn for the product or compels you to want to read more. So keep that in mind. Yeah, this is what I was trying to say. The ideas you're presenting are good. It really is just a wording thing. It's a manner of presentation thing. Never rush home to make dinner again. Okay, I'm gonna skip a few of these bullets. Sous vide recipes bringing our users joy. You're really leaning into. Listen, there's a reason Kamala Harris didn't win the goddamn presidency. Joy doesn't sell. Small jokes. I'm still salty about the election. It's fine. But one thing that you have to keep in mind too is like this, thing, bringing our users joy. You switch it up a little bit because again, bringing joy is an abstract thing. It's a very abstract thing. Joy is different for every single person and nobody has the same understanding of joy. But sous vide recipes bringing, I think you did it better up here, steakhouse quality steaks to the table. Oof, you're onto something there. But here, bringing our users joy, not so much. Your sous vide cooker delivers perfect steaks every time, but these users prove that you can do way more. Yeah. Again, this is a sentence punch up kind of thing. If not joy, then why do people buy? Who even knows at this point? Yeah, people buy for all sorts of reasons. Usually it's to either have some sort of imaginary hole filled or to escape from some imaginary problem that they have. People buy for all sorts of reasons. Most of them are extremely stupid. But again, I've listed out the reasons why people buy. That's in another masterclass. Specifically, my features and benefits masterclass, which is one of my favorite ones that I've ever done. That's free. That's on the channel. Go watch that. Perhaps herb crusted prime rib, Anna's Oreo cheesecake. This is good stuff. So, okay, Rashida is doing something very smart here. She's using different recipes, not only as social proof, people happy with the product, but also as examples of other things you can do with the product. So this could be phrased a little bit better, but the actual architecture of persuasion that you have here, chef's kiss, pun intended. No notes. Good job. It's all thanks to the Precision Cooker 3.0's improved build. 14 years ago, Anova joined the sous vide revolution. Love that. With a promise to make the expensive precision cookers used by 5-star chefs affordable for cooks like you. No period. This third rendition of our cooker is the most powerful, easiest to use sous vide yet. Instead of this third rendition is every certain number of years, we reinvest our profits into researching how to make our sous vides even better. So third rendition feels like, well, maybe the first two sucked, but next generation upgrade, whew, feels spicy. And again, like a lot of copywriting, a lot of what we're trying to do as copywriters is frame things in a way that will be perceived in a different way. We are playing with perception. That is our job. Our job is to make things enticing, even if it is, in the case of a sous vide cooker, a vat of boiling water. Let's be real for a moment. That's what a sous vide cooker is. So how do we make that sexy? Well, that's what this whole conversation has been about. So I like that what this is doing is it's providing a little bit of subtle proof of the business and the benefit of the business and like its credibility without spending too much time on it. So good job there. But again, a lot of the issues that I'm seeing is your sentences are just dragging on too long. You know, it's just too wordy. On device controls. And by the way, Rashida, that's not meant to be a criticism of you or your quality as a writer. Like, I've seen your improvement. You are massively improving, and it's been a joy, using that word purposely, for me to watch you improve that copy and like your trajectory as a copywriter. But now you're at the level where you need to start thinking about the nuances and subtleties of language, where you need to start thinking about line length. You need to start thinking about reading experience. And that's going to be the next thing that you need to do to scale up your abilities. I hope that makes sense. On device controls. Okay, we got some features. See how easy to use our newer, more intuitive design. Love that 2-minute tutorial. What our home chefs say? Social proof. Reviews on a scrolling carousel. Okay, that works. One other thing that I would probably potentially add to this is look at the reviews of the Anova 2.0 and 1.0, and look at the complaints, like the 1-star reviews of those, and then see if you can frame that as a question, like, is this durable? How often does it need to be cleaned? Things like that. And then what I would recommend doing is, like, at the bottom, having a little FAQ of like those common complaints framed as questions that you then overcome with a little bit of copy. That would be my recommendation for how to improve this page. Overall, I think you're on the right track. Listen, most people, when they get their copy reviewed by us, they're still at the value editing, still at the function editing stage. You're not there. You are now at the point where you need to start actively really thinking about your sentences, in your word choice, in your word order. Getting more technical with your language. That is how you're going to level up. So. What was the book about perception I mentioned earlier? Are you talking about The Natural History of the Senses by Diane Ackerman? That's not about perception. That's more about again, the senses and humans interacting with the world through their senses, all 5 senses. So it's not a listen. If you are a very hard-nosed, if this book doesn't have a list of tips and things like that, hacks for increasing conversions, that I'm not interested. Well, this book ain't for you. This book is almost poetry. But again, it's poetry meant to force you to think about how to think about the world through your sense of smell, for example, or through the lens of sight, or through the lens of feeling, things like that. So I gave you some advice along the way, but what you need to start doing is really looking at your sentences and being like, did I phrase this as succinctly and powerfully as possible? Are my sentence structures being a little too repetitive? For example, you have, benefit-driven, features. Benefit-driven features. You'll never ruin a steak again. Ends with a benefit. Benefit-driven features. Benefit. Same structure over and over and over again. If I had not drawn your attention to that, you'd be like, well, isn't that how I'm supposed to write? And my thing is well, if you feel like you're boring a reader, you need to go slower and you need to start mixing things up to keep engagement. Humans are difference recognizing machines. Our brains are literally built to recognize, identify, and draw our attention to novelty. And so if you write in the same way each time, your forebrain, your cognition, cognitively, you're not going to be aware of it consciously, but subconsciously, your readers will be, and they'll get bored. And so what you really want to do is just start paying attention, asking yourself questions. Did I really phrase this as powerfully as I could? Is this sentence too long? Is this sentence too short? Can I split this sentence up and have it be even more powerful? Can I rephrase this to be even more powerful? It really comes down to you asking yourself questions and interrogating your sentences in that way. And your writing is going to be much stronger for it. I hope that helps. Go watch our video, How to Edit Your Copy. It's free. It's on the YouTube. And it introduces a very important concept for copywriters, the difference between value edits, function edits, and line edits. Most people, when they revise their copy, think all they need to do is line edits. But guess what? If you are doing line edits to something that's initially, like the idea is wrong, doesn't matter how much you polish a turd, it's still a turd. And so you're starting in the wrong spot. So value edits, that's where you want to be. So keep that in mind. All right, Roshida, again, thank you. Again, it's been a pleasure to see your trajectory. You are making some strides. And she is, everybody watching, she's a very good example of somebody who's like been getting our feedback and using it to get better. The line editing thing is going to be the thing that makes this even better. So good job. All right, this is a Facebook ad. Paid ads masterclass. The reader is going to be female business owners. Ooh. I love selling to female business owners. Idea. Become findable and known in your industry. Okay, so this is sort of like a personal branding kind of thing. Promise. Scale your business to the next level using highly targeted ads and messaging mastery. Okay. Offer. Paid ads masterclass. Okay. Ad copy. Headline. Creative. Body copy. Ada. It's fine. Ladies. To all the women in the chat, if I wrote a piece of copy that opened with, "Hey ladies," how would you feel? Honestly, like if you saw a piece of Facebook ad creative that was like, "Hey ladies," just off the bat, how would you respond? While I'm waiting for you guys to respond to me, I'll answer your question. First time here, how I get my copy reviewed, Discord. Yeah, if you're a member of the Patreon or the Platinum Collection, I gave a whole spiel at the beginning of how to do this. You can rewind and do that if you want. But yeah, you would be a member of the Patreon and then submit for Whetstone Wednesdays using the private channels in the Discord. All right, really quick. This call out, I'm not sure works really well. I don't think you need it. Like, there are certainly brands that you can, how should I say, do something like this. But for a lot of Facebook ad creative, it's usually a little bit better to just start with what you're trying to do. What if there was a way to not just grow your business, but take it to the next level and become known in your industry and become findable to your new customers and clients easily? So one thing that has been happening recently is, how should I say? People have sort of forgotten, or at least gotten very confused about like how line breaks work. They think that just like you can just willy-nilly break a clause onto a new line and that will be fine. and your sentences will be magically shorter if you do it this way. Nay, nay. What you want to do is you want to have line breaks and ellipses, ... that indicate that the next line continues on where you left off here. That's what the ... is for. Now, here's the thing. Maybe writing is starting to change. Maybe copy is starting to change because a lot of people are doing it this way. This feels more like poetry. There's a word for this. It's called enjambment or enjambment if you're American. And so just these willy-nilly line breaks, the whole point of them is to make your long sentences feel less long. It's a cheap and easy way to accomplish that. It doesn't really work very well, and it makes you seem unsophisticated as a writer. So a lot of businesses, if you submit copy that looks like this, they'll be a little put off by it, especially if they have a copy editor on staff. So, and yeah, we have a response to the ladies. I'd squint my eyes at the screen like it was acting suspicious. Yeah, that was my reaction too. And I don't even have the appropriate parts. So I don't think this is getting attention as well as you want it to. And again, like, what if there was a way to not just grow your business, but take it to the next level and become known in your industry, becoming findable to your new customers and clients easily? Let me see if I can rephrase this. There are a couple ways that you can do this. Are you a woman in a male-dominated niche? Are you a woman in a male-dominated industry? Question mark. And you can even be more playful with this. Like, I've seen a number of like female-led agencies do this where, and I personally think it's a little pandering, but pandering works. One of them is like, are you a girl boss? A move maker? Like, are you the, the feminine badass of whatever industry that you're in? Well, I'm sure you're ready. I'm sure you're always looking for ways to take your business to the next level. Well, what if I told you there's a way to not only become an authority in your industry, ... but also to find new clients and customers more easily as well? A whole lot of ways you can go into this attention portion. This right now feels weird, and this feels weak. So find other ways to do this. One of those ways is just by shortening or finding other ways to call out that are how should I say, a little bit more authentic, a little bit more organic. Now, the interest portion of the Facebook post: using this paid ad strategy, I've not just made an impact on my business, but grew my revenue and changed life. If you were scrolling through Facebook and you saw an ad post that said that sentence, how many of you would keep reading? I think people are laughing at my reaction. It sounds too much like copy. Yeah. When Sean takes off his glasses is over. Yeah. That's a bummer. Listen. This is not compelling. It's not even written in a way that feels coherent or intelligible. And so this is not something that your readers are very particular with how they spend their time. Nobody wants an ad. Nobody likes looking at ads, except for copywriters. But copywriters are weird little troll people, and we shouldn't pay attention to any of them. Most people find ads to be a burden. And so people are going to be very unwilling to give your ads any sort of time, and they're always going to be looking for reasons to ignore your ad. Using this paid ad strategy, that, let's just walk it through the 4 U's. Does this feel unique? No. Does this feel useful? I guess. Yeah, sorta. Does it feel ultra specific? Definitely not. Does it feel urgent? No. So, ultimately, like, really, it just feels like you're saying words and they're not even grammatically correct. So, and yeah, this is something that I strongly encourage people to think about, which is, as you're reviewing your own copy, you have to constantly be asking yourself, like, what is the reader's experience of this? How would somebody else who's not me perceive this, think about this? Like, how would they feel? It's a really, really good way to force you to think about the copy that you're writing. Because again, you're not writing copy for you, and you're not writing copy for other people like you. You're writing copy for prospects and customers, most of whom have nothing to do with you, do not like the same things that you like. Maybe you don't even respond to the same appeals that you respond to. As copywriters, we have to be constantly thinking about that. Many of my clients do the same. Here's Lena, a local business owner who managed to get 1,000. So why would you say here's Lena in a text post? All right. And Sarah, a mom 3, she managed to make a 900x return using paid ad strategy, Eon, her low ticket offer. I'm not going to read any more of this because it's bad. It's very bad. And the person who wrote this, it needs to go back to the drawing board. It needs to read more paid ads. Here's a very simple thing that you can do. Go to the Facebook ads library. God, frankly, terrible. Listen, I've seen plenty of bad ads get published all the time. All right, what is this for? Female business owners. Okay. Ad category. Let's do all ads. Let's do business coaching. Let's look at this. Here we go. Are you sacrificing your life for work? Oh my, don't we think that that's a better hook than ladies? Right? You weren't meant to spend your life glued to a desk, missing moments with family, or pushing yourself to exhaustion. Overworking feels noble, but it's silently destroying your health and happiness. Problem? And agitation a little bit. It's time to take back control, set boundaries, focus on self-care, and learn how to thrive, not just survive. Tag your friend who needs this reminder. Hashtag this. Visit Instagram profile. That's good. That's a solid ad post. Solid post. Good hook. How about this one? Dr. Denise Dennis. Coaches, imagine waking up each day with the power to shape your schedule exactly how you want. No more being tied down by endless tasks. Sound like a dream? It doesn't have to be. Immediately from paragraph 1, this feels more compelling, more gripping. It forces you to want to pay attention to it if you are the type of person whom this would appeal to. Introducing the time freedom formula. How top coaches work less and earn more. Doesn't that feel more intrinsically beneficial than paid ads strategy? These are all things that you need to be paying attention to and thinking about when you write ads, when you write copy, especially Facebook ads, where literally the whole way people interact with that platform is in this very vaporous, like scroll, 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 scroll kind of way. You have, when you are writing Facebook ads, so little time to hook people. And every single little mini moment that you are not hooking a person to read the next thing, you're losing people. And yeah, unique mechanism, so important. All right. So we're moving on from this. This is like broken from the get. So this needs a full rewrite, and this person just needs to read and sort of reverse outline more Facebook ads, especially good ones in similar niches. So, and also like notice like in the examples that I gave that were like floating to the top of what I searched for, none of them were written like this. Had that sort of artificial line breaking thing. This is stuff to keep in mind. Do we need to be wired or direct in the case of Facebook ads? You can go either way. You know, clickbait works really, really well on Facebook. Yeah, and person who wrote this, seriously, just read more copy. Like that's the biggest problem here, where it's like a lot of your copy sounds like copy because it feels like you're just not exposing yourself to enough copy, especially certainly not copy that's like scaling very well. And copy that's scaling very well does not sound like this, does not look like this. And yeah, very important. You cannot make strong claims or call out personal attributes when writing Facebook ad copy. Ladies, it's super important stuff to keep in mind. All right. I have like a slew of masterclasses that I need that I've promised that I'm going to record, but in like late February or March, I'm going to do a Facebook copy masterclass. All right. Ooh. All right. This is going to be the last one because again, like I mentioned before, I have a lot that I need to do and take care of. So I'm not going to be able to get to everybody's stuff. I apologize. So this is going to be the last one that I look at. And then I have to go like be a dad and do my own work for my own businesses. The sales page aimed at snorers who suffer from sleep apnea. So timeout. One thing that I want to do is I want to do a YouTube video where I spend a few months trying every single gimmicky, like snore curing thing you can buy on the internet. That's my goal. I want to do a whole video where I test every single one to see if they actually help me. The sales page is aimed at snorers who suffer from sleep apnea. For context, one of the syndromes of sleep apnea is extreme fatigue. They're like zombies all day. They are actively looking for a solution and have already tried several products and ended up disappointed. Okay. This is solution aware. Love it. The product is an anti-snoring mouthpiece intended for the French market. Love it. It's a bit long, so if you want, you can just read the lead, pages 1 and 2, then skip the rest until page 9. Love it. Thank you very much for the good context. The texture is surprising and its appearance strange, but it works. Not sure if I love that eyebrow copy. Message to all snorers struggling with fatigue. Okay. There's a couple of things going wrong here. Which is to say that if this is truly solution aware, like these people know that they have the problem and they're aware of other like solutions to snoring and that they've tried, then they know that they're snorers. So that call out works fine. And then you have this, struggling with fatigue, which is, again, they already know what their problem is. And so the problem with this headline is that, well, I mean, let's just assess it. Does it feel useful? No. What's the benefit? All this is doing is calling things out. It's calling out problems that they already know they have. So that doesn't really work. Is it urgent? No. Is it ultra specific? Well, if we get into the deck copy, it starts looking a little bit better. New, how after 22 years of intense snoring and after trying everything, that weird but ingenious device stopped my snoring in an instant. I'm going to ignore some of the language stuff, that weird, because I imagine this was probably translated from French into English, and then will probably be translated back into French again. So I'm just going to ignore some of the weird linguistic stuff that's going on. This is specific, but more specific would be like, how a strange but weird device, after 22 years of research and development, a strange but weird device now has the ability to end your snoring in 16 minutes, leading to, blissful, et cetera, sleep. Things like that. More benefit driven, but with more specific details about what the thing can do for you. That's how you make it more useful. And now, does this feel unique? That's the thing. No. Now, I'm a huge fan, again, like I implied before, huge fan of copy around solving the problem of snoring, because it's a problem that I personally deal with. Again, old man problems. And so I look at this and I go like, does this feel different from other stuff that I've seen before? No. And I know what you're trying to do with surprising and weird. You're trying to build intrigue around the solution. But it's not really working here. And one thing that you have to sort of draw your attention to is like, what can you show? What can you say that's specific that makes it weird? What is it that makes it weird? So, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I once saw a snoring gimmick product, and it literally was like a ball that you like tied to your shoulder, and like it sat in the middle of your back, so that whenever you like rolled onto your back, it was like uncomfortable while you were sleeping, so it would force you to like roll onto your side again to stop your snoring. Like I said, I've tried a lot of gimmick problems for snoring. And so you frame that as unique by saying how you can cure your snoring by doing nothing for your nose or for your mouth. How this weird, how this weird spinal device can cure your snoring. Things like that. Like, you find different hooks, different ways of framing the actual object. So you're not just saying weird, but you're actually making it seem not only weird, but also like intrinsically beneficial based on the notions that people have about snoring. One company that both Alex and I have paid attention to, Alex actually just consulted for them, is this product that like moves your jaw forward while you sleep so that your palate and your tongue don't collapse backwards when you're lying on your back, the cause of snoring. And so by shifting things forward a little bit, there's a constant clear airway in your soft palate. All right, that's the mechanism of this device. And one of the things that sales letter, that VSL does so very well is hooking people with like, here are the products that don't work, and then explaining what's the underlying cause of snoring. And so once you shift belief that way, like, Like, forget that stuff that not only doesn't work, but doesn't treat the underlying problem. Then also, here's the underlying problem. Well, you've shifted belief away and like been made people more amenable, more open to hearing your solution to the problem that they have. Those are all things you want to keep in mind. So this headline complex is not really working for me because, again, it lacks that uniqueness, that ultra specificity, and certainly that usefulness, benefit driven. And also, as Inspired Dev says in the chat, gotta show, not tell. Yeah. Nice. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, no, Rajesh, you're onto something. Again, like more specific, more beneficial. And again, like adding that credibility. How about a shock collar for snoring? It's like the dog stops them from barking because every time they bark, they get shocked. They do that, but for snoring. Yeah. And yeah, using existing knowledge to make your product stand differently than all other competitors. That is, I think, the way you want to do it. All right. So we'll read on for a little bit, but I am going to call it an early stream because I'm tired and I have to take care of my kids. I got to do work too. If you struggling, this is probably translated from French, so I'm not going to jump on like line edit stuff. We're going to ignore that. With fatigue because of your snoring, keep reading because I'm going to show you how a strange but ingenious product and still little known in France can take you from a deafening snoring to a sweet melody in an instant. All right. Again, because this is translated from French, I'm assuming we are going to ignore the line edit stuff and focus instead on value and function edits. Now, again, this sales letter is not really working for me because the stinger, this first paragraph, this opening sentiment is leading off the product. So, immediately you're going to lose people because people are going to be like, oh, a product, you're going to sell me something, and then click off. That's just the nature. The reason why a lot of product pages are so very, very short is because people land on that and they understand like, hey, this is a thing that exists to sell me something. But if you have a more nuanced product, if you're trying to overcome objections, if you're trying to keep people reading to actually buy into a worldview, buy into your notions, if you're trying to shift belief, you have to hook people. And one of the easiest way to lose people is by being like, I'm going to sell you something. But first, let me explain this. It doesn't work. So again, strange but ingenious product doesn't necessarily work. But if you talk about like how a simple solution, again, like you're talking about something a little bit more indirectly. If you're going a little bit more roundabout, you could probably hook people a little bit longer. But again, like if this person, if you're writing to people that suffer from snoring, that know what the problems of snoring are, having that list of 3 questions at the beginning can sometimes help. Here, I'm gonna give you guys an example. Let me actually pull something up in my swipe file. And this was actually, real ones know, the very first episode, very first YouTube video that Copy That ever put out was about a sales letter review that I did with Luke and Rod. There was I think it was a chondroitin supplement. And the headline was brand new knees in 90 days. Look at this. Look at this. Big promise. Brand new knees, useful. In 90 days, ultra specific and useful. New breakthrough in natural joint support could help you feel like you have brand new knees in 90 days. That is so strong. It's so good. Now look at how this sales letter opens. Do aching joints keep you up at night? Yes. Do you dread getting up in the morning because you'll know you'll be stiff and sore? Let's make this a snoring sales letter. Does your snoring wake you up in the middle of the night? Yes. Do you wake up every single morning feeling like a zombie, dreading your day? Yes. Have you tried every kind of pill you can think of, yet still haven't gotten the relief you need? Let's change that to, have you tried every snoring solution you can think of, yet still haven't gotten a good night's sleep? Guys, I just taught you how to use a swipe file. That's how you do this. I just took a knee supplement piece of copy and made it applicable to this snoring solution. That's how you swipe copy. Because again, that piece of copy, same thing. It's going to people who know they have a problem. It's going to people who've tried a bunch of solutions. And this opening is going to be stronger than this. Now, here's the fun twist. Do you worry that things will only get worse as time goes on? Do you worry that you're only going to get more and more tired as time goes on? Oh, now we're digging deep into people's insecurities and fears. And that is going to be stronger than what you have right now. And also another thing that framing things this way does, and also, by the way, I mentioned before, don't introduce the product too soon. Look at what this does. If so, this may be the most exciting report you've ever seen. You're about to discover a breakthrough in our understanding of joint health and aging. This is not saying, I have this cool, weird product that you're going to want to, learn more about. No. You're about to discover a breakthrough in our understanding of joint health. You can just take those words almost verbatim. You're about to discover a breakthrough in our understanding of snoring and sleep apnea. So good. And that is, again, if you don't take that time to really spell out, where people are in terms of their problems, spell out why they would want to be interested. We call it leaving a breadcrumb, why people want to keep reading. Some people also call it the what's in it for May. This may be the most exciting report to understand. You're about to discover a breakthrough in understanding of joint health and aging. That could have you feeling like you've got brand new knees in a matter of weeks. This, I have the most popular YouTube short on our channel is called How to Finger Your Copy. Hold up 3 fingers where this finger is at the bottom of the headline, and you need to be able to see, if you are looking at your sales letter and you're looking at the lines falling somewhere in here, is what's in it for me answered within those 3 fingers? The answer is no, then it's not working. You got to tighten that up. There has to be some sort of benefit, direct or implied. This is an implied benefit in this sales letter, and it certainly passes the 3-finger rule. Here, not so much. Here, yes, this passes. There's a benefit, but again, I don't feel hooked or interested in reading at this particular point, and nobody's going to be asking this at this particular point, and nobody's going to be assuming that there's magic. You understand? You're not meeting people where they are. You're not drawing a person in. And that's so important, especially for long form sales copy like what this is. Yeah, it's written for solution aware people, so maybe persuade them a little bit, but knowing before introducing the product. Yeah, that's exactly correct. You need to make sure that you are meeting people where they are in terms of their product, in terms of their journey. And you might think that you're doing this with this sentence, but you're not. It's, again, one of the key concepts in copywriting is intensification and gradualization. You need to actually bring people in, lure people in, entice people with your words to keep on reading. And yeah, Make it feel like you're just giving them free advice at first, rather than pitching an ingenious product. Okay, we're moving on. The lives of over 200,000 snorers already changed because they use a proven method based on rigorous clinical testing approved by the FDA. And no, it's not a CPAP machine or what's called a MAD. This is running into a problem that I brought up with the copy from earlier, the product page copy from earlier, which is like, even in French, I know people who write French copy, and the rules are the same. Like, you need to make sure that your copy is a little like more succinct and much tighter. Shorter sentences still win in France too. Something much simpler and more effective. In fact, if you can pass a quick test, I guarantee this product will work for you, even if you snore like a bear. It's a bold claim, Cotton. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. My name is Random Dude, and not long ago I was snoring like a jackhammer. I appreciate the fun that people have in their spec and sample copy. I respect it. But at the same time, this is still, how should I say? One thing that this is doing that is not good is blowing your wad a little too soon. You're trying to jump ahead towards things that you want to build up to and build up interest for. And if we look at this example, look at this. We got 4 questions. If you answered yes to those questions, this might be the most exciting thing you've ever seen, because you're about to discover this thing that you're probably interested in that could have you benefit. Notice how I'm playing Mad Libs with this. Like, that's a way to swipe copy. It's a completely new way of approaching joint support. So if nothing else you've tried has worked the way you hoped, this will be especially valuable to you. And again, this is not saying like, look at the supplement, it's going to cure your knees or your knee pain. It's saying it's a completely new way of approaching joint support. That's where the intrigue is coming from. And again, like, a lot of this copy you can swipe almost directly for your snoring copy, and it's going to be much stronger because it's based on a well-known but misunderstood natural substance, a substance with the power to replace your aging knees and hips at the cellular level, hinting at the mechanism. Look at that. Pretty cool stuff. All right. And like, that's going to be stronger than like, and no, it's not a CPAP machine or a mandibular investment device. It's better than like, it's a proven method based on rigorous clinical testing. The copy that I just read feels more specific than this. And that's something you want to keep in mind. My snoring was recorded at 86 decibels. I was snoring so loud that I was waking myself up, that I was waking myself up every morning was hell. It took me 1 hour and a half to get up because the fatigue was so overwhelming, etc., etc. Okay, and this is the agitation portion. And yeah, like, I appreciate that this is telling a story that provides proof, and this is a good spot to do it. But again, because this hook was not done well enough, I find myself asking, why would a person care about reading about a problem they either empathize with or don't? Let's look at this. Here we have a promise. And then here we have an introduction. So there's credibility. And one of the things that you'll notice here is that it's making a promise and it's building intrigue towards the mechanism, and it's not switching into that agitation, that story. It accomplishes that within the first 4 lines. That's really all you have to do. So again, things you need to keep in mind. You want to find reasons to keep a person hooked in reading. So I'm going to jump down to page 9, as this person said. One thing that I have noticed is that a lot of VSLs and Facebook ad creative for snoring products are actually leading off with these weird and slightly disgusting pictures of like people's horrible teeth. And yeah, These vibrations that cause snoring, nothing else. Yeah, I feel like you buried the lead here, guy. Like, we call it leading with a tease versus leading with a taste. And one thing that we're seeing with especially physical products, especially stuff that's designed to be a VSL that's scaling on the networks, like you want to lead with a little bit of taste, a little bit of like something that feels very, very valuable. This still feels valuable, even though it's not really revealing anything that is actually valuable. And so, yeah. Those are just things that you want to keep in mind. I feel like you buried the lead here. All right. The good morning snore solution. Don't be fooled by the strange appearance, because unlike other products, Dr. Dort's appliance gets to the heart of the problem using a simple but formidable principle. Here's how it works. Okay. Love it. 3-step, very simple. Okay, so this is the type of product where it hooks onto the tongue using suction, and it keeps your tongue like out so that you don't your tongue doesn't collapse backwards. I have not used this yet, but I'm gonna. Yeah. One thing that's going on is I feel like there's a lot of good stuff going on, but you have to understand, you want to make sure that the details, that the actual architecture of persuasion, that you are presenting things and scaffolding things in such a way that you are meeting people where they are and overcoming objections and introducing benefits and why people want to keep reading at the appropriate time once you've drawn enough attention to make people want to keep reading and paying attention. And here I feel like you're not really doing that. And so that's my biggest problem with this right now, where it's nobody's going to read on to some of the good stuff that you have because they won't get past this. That's just a thing that happens with copy. If people don't see something that they want to see really early on, they're not going to give it the time. And so that's what I really want you to focus on when you revise this. I think that ultimately, kind of like some of the copy that I was looking at before, there's competence here. I see a lot of potential. You understand fundamentally what you're trying to do in your copy better than most newbies. And again, we're ignoring the French to English translation stuff. There's some strength here, and I want you to focus on your strengths, but also fix your weak points. And your weak points right now are that hook, gradualization, and intensification. Really practice that, and it's going to make your copy a lot better, because again, all your subheads need to hook and hook again. Every single new section of copy needs to bring a reader back in. All right. I think that's all I got. I will give a few comments on these if I have time a little bit later this week, but I hope that this stream was beneficial, was helpful to everybody, that everybody got something out of it, whether they wrote the copy that was reviewed or not. Let me take some time to answer questions. So, Skylighter, if you're still on, now is a good time to ask the question that I missed earlier. Bit off topic, when the product is a person, aka a coaching offer, would you lean more towards a letter or page? I see a lot of people doing a form and then some chunk copies similar to a web copy. I've seen both work, but I will be completely honest. I know a few coaches that have sold a decent amount, like a few $100,000 here and there, a couple $1,000,000 here and there. They're happy with that. And I've seen them sell with a sales page. That's fine and good. Every coach I've ever seen or met or spoken to or worked with who has sold not a few $100,000 or millions, but tens of millions of dollars, guess what? Long form sales letters, VSLs, webinars, especially webinars. If you are a known figure or a known coach and you offer a free training that hooks onto a webinar that offers some free value, but then also has at the tail end of that a pitch, money. That's money we are talking about. And so again, with copy, like nothing is ever absolute. I mean, there's like a few things like that. The Facebook ad we looked at earlier was not very good. But if you are a coach, yeah, you can get away with doing both. But based on my observations in my career, it's tended to be the case that selling with longer form, letter, VSL, or webinar copy tends to be better. But not every coach wants to sell that way. And so that's another practical consideration that you need to have. Wonderful. Good. Hey, thank you very much. If you appreciated these, we have on the live tab of our YouTube, like a couple dozen of these streams. And I feel like in these streams, because we don't hold back, I've seen other people who do, we don't hide the value. Like anything that we would talk about on our paid stuff, we've dripped out here and there in our live review streams. So maybe I shouldn't have revealed that. Oh no. I've done it both ways. I've done a webinar where it was purely scripted. I've done webinars where it was just a PowerPoint and the guru was riffing as it was going through. One thing I've found is that scripted webinars tend to do better. And another thing that I found, well, the first $1 million promo I ever did was a training building up towards a webinar. And the webinar was like a 2-hour deep dive interview conversation between a host and the guru, where they, it was partially education, partially selling, et cetera, et cetera. And that was all highly scripted. It was very, very hard work. And with that, like what I would recommend doing, like, because I learned from a lot of different sources, like how to do this stuff. There are 2 books I would recommend you reading if you're interested in writing webinar copy. One of them is One to Many. One space TO space many, MANY. Jason Flandline. Very, very good. Russell Brunson's perfect webinar formula is it's okay. Not very good. But Launch, and I think Launch 2.0 just came out, but it was launched by Jeff Walker. Also very good. So those 2 books, very, very useful for doing webinars and webinar copy. And if you follow those, like I have in the past done very, very deep dives into like webinar sequences, behavioral marketing around webinars, like how to optimize for webinars, things like that. But if you want the basics, if you want to get 80% of the way there, like, and you want to sell a lot with webinars, read those 2 books. I hope that helps. If making all the sentences benefit driven makes the copy boring, is it better to combine pain points and benefit? Rashida, I want you to think of it less as like, is the sentence benefit driven? Is the sentence feature driven? I want you to think more like, does the sentence feel natural to read, as though a person were actually speaking, as though the writing were interesting? Like, read a book, like open a good novel to any random page and see if the sentences are repetitive in terms of their structure. And typically, a good writer, that will not be the case. And if you look at a good piece of copy, that's not the case either. You'll have like, are you sick of having to clean the stove every single time? Well, with this particular product, you're not going to have to deal with that anymore, period. 2 quick sentences that immediately imply the benefit. You see what I'm saying? It's about looking at your sentences and thinking like, how else could I frame this or phrase this to make it more enticing, more exciting? It's not about where you deploy or how you deploy your features and benefits. All your sentences should have some sort of implied benefit to them, or something else that would like build intrigue later. But like, you're writing for a product page, so I wouldn't worry about that. And so like, you have to think like, okay, this sentence, is it as provocative, as interesting as it could be? And then go from there. I hope that helps. I will listen on my list of like shit to make is a whole masterclass on line editing. and that'll come out probably for the Platinum Collection or Patreon at some point in this year, I suppose. God, there's so much to do. Jesus Christ. Oh Lord. Also, do you think the bullet writing video you did would be helpful for this? Yes, absolutely, because it forces, like, the whole big section of that bullet writing masterclass is about how to reframe sentences and repackage them in different ways. So I think bullet writing is extremely helpful there. Another thing too is I talked about different ways to punch up bullets, and different ways, like for example, I want to see if I can remember your copy. But there was the whole thing about, like, making the kids, like, having food that's so good that it will overcome kids being picky eaters or whatever. Imagine if you rephrase that, instead of framing it in the, like, no more software malfunctions leading to your picky kids wanting to eat. Instead of doing it that way, other parents are going to ask you for tips on getting their kids to eat food. Totally changing the frame. Now it's going to be other parents who are jealous of you. Oh, shit. Damn, that's good. That's good copy. Because all of a sudden, you become the envy of other people. That's a deeper benefit. And it's implied. Tastefully implied. And then you can go into how the sous vide helps you make food that's so good, kids can't say no to it. That's how you do that. That's how you use the concepts that I revealed in that bullet writing masterclass. So, and that's how you can use it for that copy that you were writing as well, which is closer to bullet copy than you would assume. Lots of gurus providing free value nowadays. How to know who to trust? Well, you definitely can't trust Copy That. Copy That will always lead you astray. Copy That is, of all the gurus, Copy That is the worst group of them. You can't trust us. So that's how you know. Everybody else is fine. If you want an honest answer to this question, we do have a video. It's one of our most popular videos, which is how copywriting gurus scam you. Now, the real valuable chunk of that video is actually the middle bit towards the end, where Alex lists out the red flags to watch out for. Most people don't make it to that. They leave a comment being like, what do you think of Tyson 4D, before they even get to that part. And if they got to that part, they'd be able to look at the red flags and then compare it with what the person does and then make their own critical assessment, which, again, trying to stress, I'm trying to teach you all how to think. If you become better thinkers, you will become better copywriters, and certainly easier to hire. So do that. Go to that video, look at that list of red flags, and then apply the knowledge. Yeah, listen, I'll be honest. So I saw an 11-hour cut of it, before VFX, and there's also like a whole section that we had to film more for. So I watched an 11-hour version of the new course without VFX or audio fixing and stuff like that. And I'll be honest with you, I was shocked because I expected to watch it in chunks. I almost sat through the whole thing. I started on a Sunday morning, and by Sunday night I was done with it. It was so good. I was very, very proud of it. So I'm very much looking forward to that launching. And it's going to be a sort of relaunch. I'm sure you noticed our logo changed. We're redoing our free autoresponder gauntlet. We're getting our funnels in order and things like that. We're just doing things to upgrade the business to make it more valuable so that we can fulfill on our promise of our free stuff can actually make you a paid copywriter. Our paid stuff can make you an even better paid copywriter. So that's the goal. That's really what we're trying to achieve here. How would you write emails for someone who doesn't have a page or do any long form content? I honestly, I would need more context for that. I don't know if I can answer that right now without a deeper understanding of what you're trying to do or why. It's kind of why would you write? It's like going to a business and being like, hey, I made this billboard for you. And the business is like, but we don't advertise via billboards. And then you'd be like, well, you should. And then they'd be like, what do I do with this? Like, what, why? You know, there's a little disconnect there that I'm seeing. So be careful with that. Yes. Rashida knows Rashida has been with us for a long time, so she knows how crappy copy that is. I think we're also, as part of this big rebrand, going to release new merch, and I think I'm going to push Rod to create a Copy That Sucks t-shirt just for me. Maybe I'll just make it myself. Oh, and that was your first mistake. That was your first mistake. 2 to 3 e-com homepages you love off the top of your head. Oh, there was a really good meat snacks one. It was like Carnivore was the name of the brand. What was the Rocca Chocolate is another one. E-com homepages. Yeah, Rocca Chocolate. Oh, Patriot Power Greens. That's another good one. Oh, I want to look at that. Hold on. Look at this. And let's not go to the sponsored, the landing page. Let's actually go to forpatriots.com. Look at this. Boom. There, yeah, just instantly takes you to a product page. Forpatriots.com. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my God. Oh, it's so good. And it panders so very much. Oh, forpatriots.com, guys. Go study their shit. Especially if you're into like e-com and like weird niche products going to weird niche audiences. So good. I'll try to answer some questions really quick. Copy that every time Sean said that dude is not alive. I have not seen that dude in chat ever since. That person did not make it. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do some Lambo merch. All right. He's been driving all traffic via Instagram, but wants to build out an entire infrastructure. Already has an email list, but it is dead. One thing that you can do is go to that existing email list and sweep it onto a new CRM or ESP, and then send what's called a re-engagement campaign. Basically, it's like you take the squeeze page you're going to use to build your new list, and then you effectively, hey, do you want to are you still interested in this? Well, we have a new special thing for you. And then you offer just click this link and we will keep sending you emails. And typically, if it's a good free offer, you'll retain anywhere from like 10 to 50% of your list, give or take. But if it's less than, 1,000 people on the list, then don't even go through the trouble. It's probably not worth it. All right. I'm leaving. Guys, have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful day. Good luck. I think the next one of these is going to be 2 weeks from now. However, I think that we are going to do a few more free live masterclasses over the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. Also, starting in February, I'm going to have a studio. I'm going to move out of the weird part of my house. I'm going to move into a studio that I have to build. So maybe the next time you see me will be like in either a fancier or dingier place. So thank you. And again, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. So sincerely, I appreciate everybody who tunes in and watches. Have a wonderful night. I will see you on Discord probably. Take care.